Hello folks, I haven't been posting up a video for a while because I've been busy with other tasks, but I've been working in sketchbook quite recently with some new projects and new drawings. So my next piece I've decided to do is a small painting, and I would say it's probably going to be roughly about less than A4 size, so a little bit smaller than the sketchbook. And basically I've been working on a figure, and I'm going to decide to call this painting a figure staring in autumn, or something on that line, because obviously with the recent autumn that we've had and now in winter, so normally I reflect of the time, the passage that we are in. So I've decided to use this figure in my next painting. I kind of like these expression poses in my paintings because they're very much more free flowing than normal and much more expressive. So this drawing here, which you see, is a figure staring out, which I've composed myself from collective images and photography images as well. So basically, as you can see, the figure is staring out. One reason I always say to work in the sketchbook is that you can actually work out the proportion, the composition and the structure. A lot of artists are able to work directly on the canvases or on paper for the final piece. But myself, I prefer to work in the sketchbook first, so I can actually get a gist and get a good idea of what I'm doing. So as you can see, this is the figure I've been working on quite recently, and also I'll probably work on smaller drawings as well, smaller composition drawings. But here, as you can see, I'm beginning to work out how to shape the figure, how to work out and how to understand the composition. A lot of parts will obviously have to be restarted and redone again, and obviously a lot of dark areas. I normally express, just as in painting with drawing, I'm always quite inventive with my mark making, and always, rubbing out, starting again, and taking the risk and not being too fussy with the work. So I think I've decided this will probably be like a sky here, probably staring over the coast, probably I'll actually put in a couple of tracks here, and normally, because I'll go straight to the drawing straight away rather than messing about and filtering too much with this, so I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so now I've been working on different parts of the drawing. I've also decided what colours, where I think are going to go where, and where the light is going. I've also worked out and worked with the rubber, where places are going to be shaded, and where places are going to be much more darker, or where much more places are going to be heavier lined. So, and also filling in spaces where I think, where the composition would be more interesting if I added more objects to the painting. The whole illusion of the painting is that she is standing there looking out, and that there is a foreground full of objects, the sea, a landscape. And normally this is the kind of scene you'd have here in Holyhead, or anywhere on any Portland in the world really. But my subject matter is based upon where I'm actually living really. So I've decided I'm going to put the two trucks in the painting here, and I've decided to put a truck down here as well, to create that, as I say, an illusion of space. And also just working in the structure, the profile of the arms, how the arms come around, how the arms are completely working, the back of the shoulder blades here. Anyway, this is only a preliminary drawing for the painting. So the next bit now is to go and start on the painting itself. But I always believe that this is a good way to actually start a piece of work, especially if it's a painting. And it also gives you a sense of confidence of what you're doing and the direction you're actually taking yourself in. So let's get on with the painting. So I've already added different layers to the painting itself because I've been working on it for a while. But when I'm actually painting, I'm actually watering down with some varnish and some mediums where the light should be, where you should have a little bit more definition of the structure of the figure. Now I know for a fact that the light is coming this way, so I need more emphasis from this side of white light. So I have to put a little bit more definition in the hair, and also more subtle tones within the darker parts of the hair as well, to show that it's heather. I should also focus on the fingers that are here. I'm using lemon yellow and Crawford and black acrylic paint, crimson red, just for mixing this colour. You can use any colour you want to use. More importantly, I would say experiment with different colours rather than being too restrictive or working too many rules. Trial and error, trial and error. I mean, for me, what makes a good painter is somebody who invents marks on the image or on the figure. I mean, I'm not looking for a picture perfect painting or a photographic painting. I'm looking for colour, definition. Pretty much exactly what the Impressionists were doing in their time. They were looking in depth and colour, working out a lot of a new way of seeing, really. There's nothing wrong using black paint to outline anything you do. I've heard artists say, oh, you should never use black in your paintings. But I say, it's entirely up to you what you use. That's just the way I do it. I always like a definition, especially if you look at the old poster paintings. Back in the Victorian period, they had posters of seaside posters, you know, long before digital advertising, obviously. And they'd put posters up in seaside resorts or in towns and cities, i.e. come and travel here, come and travel there. And if you look carefully at these posters, a lot of them have been defined in black outline, especially the image. I mean, those kind of posters have either been done in printmaking workshops, lithographers, illustrators of the time. And that's where mostly I get my influence from when when you live on the coast, or if you live in a seaside town. I always say to any artist, if they want any kind of feedback, is to slow down and work things out. When I mean slow down and work things out, I mean take your time. Go back and look, re-look, and start again. And if it doesn't work, try it again. It's always a trial and error period when you're developing as an artist. Especially if you're trying something out, or if you haven't pushed yourself as far as you think you could, then you should always keep retrying, keep reworking at it. I mean, that's the way I've always done it. It must be, everybody's different in their own way. But I always feel like a good artist who challenges his or herself is one who doesn't stay static. So it's important to actually be enthusiastic about your subject and what you paint. I wouldn't say don't paint things or don't do things that you don't enjoy doing, because you won't have that kind of inspiration or that kind of feeling that you enjoy doing this. And it's happened to me a couple of times where you start a new piece of work, it's really, really difficult to understand, or you don't feel that inspired for it. But what I've also found is when you work at it, when you push through and you put your keen eye to it, then good things start to happen. The painting begins to work, or the drawing begins to work. So yeah, it's important just to be inventive about how you actually make your painting. I've always found, if you look at Louis and Freud's paintings, that Freud, even though I don't really look at his work, I used to look at his work, he uses a lot of white within his figures, and I mean white paints, to actually define or make any kind of definition of the structure. Of an object or a person, especially his figurative work, obviously. So, and that was actually Freud's secret ingredient, is that he was using titanium or lead white, kind of poison stuff. I wouldn't recommend you using it unless you wear gloves. Lead white, being lead white or titanium white, it's a bit more safer, but it's a really strong white to use. So yeah, I would say just try different things. And again, as I always say, slow down when you're working. Slow down. It's good at the start that you should be quick and you should have a good sense of urgency when you're actually painting, but you should also slow down in the major parts of the painting so you can figure it out. So you know exactly. I mean, a lot of artists can work things out quite quickly, efficiently. But it's important to use as much colour as you can. I mean, I always prefer to use different types of colour in painting, so we get a little bit more definition, a bit more subtlety as well. I mean, if you don't get it right the first time, then you just go back and you retry again. re-studying, re-looking, growing. You know, you should always keep on growing as an artist in some kind of way. If you're a painter, you should keep pushing, you know, or trying different subjects, different subject matter. Not compromising what you do either. Stay hungry, as they say. But I've been working on this painting for at least a week or so after I did the drawing, so I could actually get ahead a little bit with it, because it would take a while with editing and filming to get it right. But what I'm showing you here, it's basically the different tones and different colours. We know that the light is coming this way, as it shows in the image, that it's coming this way, so there's a lot of parts of the painting that I've also missed or forgotten about, and I've always questioned, well, why isn't this painting not working? Why isn't this subject matter not working? And it could be just a small little part of the painting that hasn't brought the whole thing together. An example right here, right now, I could say this part is not, you know, why is this not working? Well, it just could be that I need to work all this part of the painting out here that will actually define the whole figure together, and it will stand out to you. It could be you could have more detail here and less detail here. I know, you've just got to try it, trial and error. But I'm going to come back to this with a little bit more progress, and you'll see the difference in the next part. Well, a little bit further on now, and the painting is finished. Definitely a lot more progress from the last time I was showing you on the video of the painting itself. And now you can see properly that everything, the whole background is being worked out here and here in the foreground. I've also added more colour to the figure itself, and I've worked out different mark making approaches with the painting and different types of colour to define the back of the shoulder here and the whole arm. Most part I found difficult was the hair here and the internal parts of the fingers because it was much more difficult to actually get a good definition of that. I do like the highlights that I brought in here into the painting, and also bringing in different types of colours here in the foreground of the grassy bank just behind where the lorries sit. It's a good painting. It's definitely different from my other works, and also the scale as well. But I hope you've enjoyed this example of me demonstrating to you when you know how to paint, or when you're actually making a piece of work, and just to give you a brief example of how I actually make my progress in my work, or how I approach a painting. So thank you for sticking around and watching this video, and I hope to see you again soon.